It has now been 10 weeks since Vladimir Putin decided to manspread in the worst way possible. And all over the world, everyone has been inspired and impressed by the fortitude of the Ukrainian people. I mean, I know I am. You know, if the Russian army came to my apartment and said, Trevor, this apartment belongs to Russia, I'd have just been like, okay, spasiba, do svidaniya, I'll sleep on the couch, fine. But Ukraine hasn't done that. No, they've not backed down. And over the weekend, the country got some moral support from the United States when House Speaker Nancy Pelosi led a small group of Democratic congresspeople on a surprise visit to President Volodymyr Zelenskyy in Kyiv. Yeah. And when I say surprise, I mean it was a surprise to us. No, like, I hope it wasn't a surprise to Ukraine. You know, they've got enough going on without having to rush out at the last minute for a veggie platter. Just like, Nancy's here, Nancy's here. What does she eat? Get some hummus, maybe also a kente cloth. She likes those. Meanwhile, many countries have condemned Russia since the invasion. But Israel, specifically, has had one thing that has particularly upset them. You see, before launching their war, Russia claimed the reason it was invading was to remove Ukraine's Nazi government from power. That's what they said. Yeah, and people were like, well, that's weird because Zelenskyy is literally Jewish. But okay, it was a weird accusation. Yeah, and so now, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, he tried to explain Russia's comments, and if he was trying to make things worse with Israel, well, mission accomplished.
Israel is summoning the Russian ambassador for talks after Russia's foreign minister claimed in an interview that it doesn't matter that the Ukrainian president is Jewish since, quote, Hitler had Jewish blood and that the worst anti-Semites are Jews. Israel's foreign minister Yair Lapid said Lavrov's remarks are both an unforgivable and outrageous statement as well as a terrible historical error, and that the lowest level of racism against Jews is to accuse Jews of anti-Semitism.
Did this guy say that Jews are the worst anti-Semites? You couldn't think of anyone else, everyone else about that? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And I've heard ridiculous things. Yeah, I once heard someone say that Hawkeye should get his own spin-off movie. I'm sorry. No, I'm not watching archery for 3 hours. That's just the Olympics. That's an insane thought. What else does this guy believe? That the Johnson & Johnson is the cool vaccine? Who are you, man? And keep in mind, all of this is happening because Russia painted themselves into a corner. You see, what they did is, they claimed that their war was about denazifying Ukraine, and everyone could tell that was bullshit. You know, they should have given an excuse that wasn't so easy to disprove. They should have said they were going in to defeat, like, Ukraine's ghosts. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, think about it. Then they could just declare victory and go home. They could just be like, all ghosts have been removed from spooky positions in Ukrainian government. It's a shame you cannot see how successful we are because, as I said, they are ghosts. Anyway, we win. War is over. Goodbye now. Goodbye. But let's move on to a story that's actually an update from something that we covered last week. And it takes place in England, the country holding on to the rest of the world's artifacts for safekeeping. Yes, because, I mean, if someone colonized you, then they would take all your stuff. At least with us, it's safe. Think about it. Now, last week, a British lawmaker was busted for watching pornography on his phone during a session of Parliament, right? This was a big deal. Yeah. Yes, because this is England. This is not France, right? It caused a huge uproar. And it was such a big uproar, in fact, that the MP resigned from his position and issued an apology and an explanation for why he was watching porn on the job. And apparently, he says he was actually looking for some equipment for his farm, and things took a wrong turn.
Funnily enough, it was tractors that I was looking at, and so I did get into another website that had a sort of very similar name. And I watched it for a bit, which I shouldn't have done. But my biggest crime, is that on another occasion I went in a second time.
Oh, man. Yeah, this guy says he was looking for a website for farmers and accidentally ended up on a sex site with a similar name. No, I wanted cornhub.com. Oh, bother, no. You know, if I'm honest with you, it actually sounds like he's telling the truth, honestly. No, because, like, he incriminates himself there, you know? He says he tried to search for farm equipment, landed in a porn website, switched it off. But then he says, and later I was like, oh, maybe I should look for another tractor. I actually like that. Because in the beginning, I didn't buy this guy's excuse, that he was just looking for tractors and farm equipment. And then I started Googling farm equipment. And people, you'd be shocked at how naughty farm equipment actually sounds. It could happen. Google could like throw you off. Yeah, farm stuff. They've got pipe layers. They've got spinner spreaders. They got backhoes. They got turf sprayers. They got double furrow plows. It all sounds obscene. Yeah, all I wanted was to start a farm to raise my giant cocks. And now you've ruined me. But you know what's amazing to me about this story is how politicians can lose their jobs for normal things that everyone does, right? Like watching porn or having an affair. But if they're busted for doing something that destroys other people's lives, then nothing happens. You know, people are like, hey, did you just make a deal with a corporation that allowed them to pollute our rivers and our lakes, which made a ton of people sick? Be like, yes, I did. Well, at least you weren't watching porn. Just try not to do it again. All right, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And finally, this next story takes place in space, Earth's attic. For decades now, humans have been obsessed with trying to get to Mars. Why? Well, we just want to see what it's like, you know? It's not like there's anything wrong with Earth. We just want to see what's going on out there, you know? Yeah, it's the same way your dad is currently looking for apartments. The marriage is fine. He just needs a place to hang, you know? The important thing is that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Anyway, the point is, humans are desperate to find out everything we can about Mars. You know, did it used to have water? Can it support life? Can it be gentrified? And now, thanks to NASA, we've discovered something amazing on the red planet.
NASA says its Ingenuity Mars helicopter recently discovered and surveyed the debris from the agency's Perseverance rover mission on Mars 1 year ago.
NASA photos show both the parachute that helped the rover land on Mars, as well as the cone-shaped back shell that protected it during its fiery descent toward the Martian surface on February 18th, 2021. NASA says being able to look at some of the components that enabled the rover to get safely to the Martian surface could provide valuable insights for future missions.
That's it? Wait, are you kidding me? That's NASA's big discovery on Mars is some garbage that they left there? Why are you announcing? What do you do? Like, I expect this shit from a 5-year-old, not the greatest space agency in the world. Look, mommy, I found a poop in the toilet. That's your poop, you idiot. What? How is NASA proud that we left trash on Mars? Think about that, huh? If anything, we should be embarrassed. The first thing we do on another planet is litter? I mean, I guess it's good to set expectations early, but still, guys. Can you imagine what the Martians think of us right now? Sheila! Sheila! The two-legged freaks came back again and left more trash. I swear to Glorp, if they move here, we're going to Venus. Yeah, I don't care if it's further from your sister. At least it doesn't have these shaved monkeys showing up and leaving their shit on our lawn. I would love some tea. Thank you, honey. All right, that's it for the headlines. Before we go to a break, let's check in on the stock market with our finance expert, Michael Costa, everybody. What's going on, Michael?
Yeah.
What's happening in the market today?
Well, you know, the market, I am crushing it. I am crushing the market. I'm crushing. I got a hot tip for you, and I got a hot tip for all of you. But before we get into it, that story about Mars, I mean, you don't have to go to Mars to photograph trash. You know, New York City hasn't picked up trash in Brooklyn since 2020. If you want to see some out of this world trash, go to 34 Macon Street. That's where I live. Okay.
I don't think you should give your address on TV, but carry on.
Yeah, right. Let's actually one other thing. That minister, the one who was watching porn.
Yeah.
That's not funny. You know, that is appalling. It is disgusting. It is very unprofessional. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's get to the stocks.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Now, typically, an expert investor like myself, I would say invest in the S&P, invest in the DGIA, or even an ETF like the VTI. But when things are this volatile, you need an alternative investment strategy. And that's why I like to promote the Monetary International Liquidated Fund, okay? And if you need to know more about it, you just grab your computer, go somewhere safe, and type in MILF, okay? lock the door. Experts like myself like to, do your research, so to speak. If you want something a little more aggressive, maybe not as used, there's always the annuity net asset loan, okay? Just type in ANAL, and look, sometimes it's gonna hurt, but you're gonna get out of your comfort zone, and there's gonna be growth. Now, it's not just all ticker symbol recommendations from an expert like myself. I read a heartbreaking story recently of a young woman who ruined her father's inheritance. And we have to learn from these types of stories because it helps us to protect our money, to be smart with our finances. Grab your computer and just Google stepdaughter blows father's load. I think you'll take a lot away from it personally, but also, my hot tip.
Yeah,
it's all of you. Hot tip. You know those privacy screens that we put on computers so people can't look at our computer screens?
Oh, yeah, you have them on your phone as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should buy those. Yeah, invest in those.
Invest in those. Michael Costa, everybody.